Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is a live recording of a 50-minute full body flexibility practice. I use my strap today, I use my bolster today, and Gus is actually sitting here, and that is a rare occurrence that he is the one on my mat. So find some space to move, and let's get started. Let's get started. We'll begin laying down. And if you do have a strap to use today, you can have it close by, off to the side though for now. And if you want to lay on something, can add that in. And then just bring your arms out a little bit wider, maybe really wide. Maybe let your palms face up. And you might even spread your fingers and give them a little bit of a wiggle. Just notice your chest and your shoulders. And just decide where you'd like to place your legs today. You might start with the knees bent and the feet planted. Maybe finding the diamond shape, or maybe the opposite today. Feet out a little bit wider, knees tipping together. And just starting to settle in a little bit more. And feel your belly, your chest maybe rising, expanding each time you breathe in. And we're going to stay just a bit longer. But if you do want to move your legs, you might bend the knees and plant the feet. Maybe you're already doing that. You can keep your legs side by side. And if you're laying on top of something, you might want to skip this part or you might want to try it, but we could try to cross our legs. You might have to lift your hips up a little bit off the ground to cross the legs and then just bring your hips back down. So if you are laying on something and you're in a bit of a back bend, you might have to lift and then lower. Or again, skip this part and you can cross your legs as much as they'll cross. Bring the inner legs together, the knees together, and then maybe that right foot just dangling off to the side. You could add a couple ankle circles with it. And if you did cross your right leg over the left, uncross it slowly. And you might have to lift and lower the hips a touch. Maybe not though. And then maybe the left leg will cross. And we'll squeeze together. Try to get the hips to stay touching the ground. Maybe adding a couple ankle circles. And then we can start to uncross the legs again. Just bring your feet to the ground, knees bent side by side if you aren't already there. And you can also slide your arms back in closer to your sides. And if you are on top of something, we can take it out and we'll lay flat on our backs. You can leave your feet on the ground or give your knees a hug. Maybe take a little rock or sway side to side. And then we're going to be finding our straps. And our right foot will be lifting up and into the air. Maybe with your strap. So we'll send the right heel up. Feel the stretch, the length through the leg. And just start with your left knee bent. Let it stay bent and that foot on the ground. Just giving your right hamstring a chance to soften a little bit. Lengthen a little bit. Now, if you want to send the left leg long now, you can. And maybe try to touch the back of your knee to the ground. So just a little bit of effort to make that leg long. But then you can relax it. We're going to stay just another moment here. You did send your left leg long. I want you to bend it again. Plant the foot on the ground. So we're going to try to bring the left foot to our right quad. So figure 4. If you want to take your strap off your foot and bring the right foot to the ground, left foot can come over top. You can ditch the strap if you want to. You can lift your right foot up, and then you might add your strap back to the right foot. And maybe that leg lengthens again. Maybe you don't want to add this part into the figure 4. That's fine too. But left foot, if it can be somewhere on top of the right quad, maybe flex that foot a little bit too. And just feeling the left glute and hip, and maybe you've added on the right leg as well. So you can stay for another breath or two, or whatever your figure 4 happens to be looking like right now. Just start to make your way back so that you have both feet on the ground. And maybe take a little bit of a sway of the knee. We'll be sending our left foot up, keeping the right foot on the ground to start. Find the hamstring, the calf, a nice long left leg. You might just keep your right leg bent and you might send it long for a moment. Maybe trying to touch the back of the knee towards the ground a little bit. But then you can relax. So to come into our figure four, you don't have to take the strap off of the foot if you know you're going to go there. Maybe you can kind of cross the right foot on top of the quad and just keep your foot in your strap. Maybe you got to unwind everything, let go of everything, and then find your figure four, but just optional. If that left leg wants to be on the straighter side of things, maybe using the strap still. Now let's stay for just another breath or two, and then we can bring the feet back down to the ground and uncross the legs. You can place your strap off to the sides. Maybe give the knees a sway. You could even hug your knees to your chest if you wanted to. And then just decide if you want to rock forwards or roll over, but let's come all the way up and onto our hands and knees. So if you do have a pillow to use today, you might want to use it and maybe place it just on the left side and kind of on an angle. But from tabletop, you can move, you can sway your hips a little bit. We are going to be reaching our arms forwards and then off to the left side. So puppy dog side stretch. Now, if you want to lay on something or rest your forehead on something, your chest on something, you can add your pillow. But walk the fingertips away, lengthen through the arms. And if the pillow is just in the way, you can also just not use it. But keep the hips high, go off to the side so you feel stretched through the side body and really through that right arm too, and try to melt it down. A few moments here so you can rest your head on something that's nice.
You can stay for another breath or so. And then use an inhale to lift up again. So move the hands underneath the shoulders back to your tabletop, and you might move just a touch. Shoulders, the hips. Maybe your pillow is going to come to the other side. But we'll reach our arms forwards again and then over to the right. Walk the fingertips away and then lower, lower, lower. Stay for another breath or so. And then you can start to lift up again and find your way back into tabletop. If you want to come off of the hands for a moment, you could also sit back on the heels, maybe take a couple shoulder rolls. We might be coming back into the shoulders in a second here. But we are going to start in tabletop. And again, you might want to have your pillow in the middle of the mat this time. So we have two options for our legs. We can either stay knees side by side. We're going to be reaching arms forwards and coming into puppy dog. Might be one longer hold in the puppy dog. Or if you do want to cross your legs, we'll have to switch the way that our legs are crossed. So you can bring your legs together, and then maybe the right leg is going to cross over top. Now, the puppy dog might seem really far away now if you're crossing your legs. You can widen the feet, just trying to bring your inner legs together, your knees together, little cow face. You can decide if you want to skip the reach forwards. You might start on your hands, your forearms, just keep your hips up in the air. And you could also start to reach forwards and melt the chest down, and maybe you're resting on your pillow. Maybe you are not resting on your pillow. And maybe you are in puppy dog without your legs crossed. But if you did take the cross leg version, start to lift back up onto your hands if you aren't already on them. We're going to cross our legs the other way, but you might just bring everything side by side. Maybe give your hips a little bit of a sway. You're probably feeling the glutes, the hips, the crossed legs, but then the left one can go up and over the right. You can widen the feet as much as you'd like. Maybe you stay on your hands, focus on the legs. Maybe you're in puppy dog, again, without crossing the legs in any way. You can lower to the forearms, and then you can take your reach forwards if you want to do both. Nice work, you guys. Take another breath, and then you can start to lift yourself back up. Back onto your hands, uncrossing the legs, back to your tabletop. Then we will take a moment in child's pose if you'd like, or you can sit back on the heels, but find a neutral place for your arms and your shoulders. So you might want to bend the elbows, maybe even stack your palms and rest your forehead. Just take a moment to notice how you're feeling right now. Notice any sensations flowing throughout you. Feel free to stay a little bit longer. And we can also start to move, lift back up onto our hands and onto our knees. And then our right foot is going to be coming forwards for a lunge. I didn't ask you to have anything to go under your knee. So if you want to roll your mat over, maybe you've got a bolster pillow that you want to slide underneath your knee. And you don't have to use anything at all, but maybe we can rest on the top of the back foot and sink into our hips a little bit more. And maybe let the chest try to rest on your front knee. And can you let your shoulders fall from your ears? And we're only going to take another breath or two on this side. If you've got your knee on a big bolster cushion, you might want to bring it down a little bit, slide it out a little bit before you bring your right leg back into tabletop. Now take your time. Take your time moving out of that if you did add a big cushion under your knee. Just give your hips a little bit of a sway if you'd like. Our left foot will be making its way forwards. And maybe you don't use anything under the knee. Maybe you roll your mat over. Maybe you add a really big cushion. And rest on the top of the foot too. Just feel that right hip flexor. As you let your chest get a little bit heavy. Stay for another moment. And then you can start to move back to tabletop. Take the pillow out if you're using one. And find tabletop. Maybe a little bit of movement through the hips or just be still.
We are going to sit down though, so you can bring your legs in front. And maybe give your knees a little hug or a squeeze. Maybe a rock side to side. We're going to be sending our left leg out to the side, out long, out to the side. A half straddle. Now, if you do want to use your strap, you could. You don't have to. But you could put it on your foot. Hold on to it if you want. Or just point your toes up. But try to face the chest forwards. And bring that leg out wide so you feel the inner leg. And then maybe you stay sitting pretty tall. Maybe you fold forwards a little. You could add a little bit of a sway or not. You want your pillow in front of you to maybe rest your other arm on. You could do that too. Just feeling the length through the inner leg. And if you're finding the strap useful, great. If not, you don't have to use it. But you might have to walk your hand towards your foot a little bit just to keep things snug, the strap tight. If you did lean forwards, you can start to lift back up. Your strap can come off of your foot. Your knees can come back together. And just give everything a little squeeze. Just check in. And then we'll switch sides. So our right leg can come out. Maybe you're using your strap again. Leg out to the side, maybe pointing your toes up. Strap if you want it, but still trying to face forward. And lengthen the spine and maybe stay seated nice and tall. Maybe you start to tip forward. Maybe you add a little bit of a sway with the shoulder. Maybe just another breath here. And you can start to lift again if you were leaning forwards. You can take the strap off, move it to the side. And then bring your legs back together as well. Give your knees another squeeze.
We're going to lay down on our backs. And I'm not going to use anything, but if you want, if you'd like to have your pillow under your knees when they tip over to one side, you can have it on the left side of you, just in case. But before we do that, we might take our left hand, palm down, and tuck it underneath our back. So feeling the shoulder and the arm. And maybe you don't need to let your knees tip to the left side because you're feeling that shoulder already. But the legs want to tip over to the left if they want to rest on top of your pillow. You can add that in. And if you did let the knees tip over, start to bring them back up. Plant the feet. You can take your hand out from under you. Maybe let your arm be still, or maybe move it around a little bit. If you need to move your pillow to the other side, move it over. Our right hand will be finding its way underneath, palm facing down. And then maybe you leave your knees just pointing up. Maybe they tip over towards the right side. Just finding your breath. You brought your knees over to the side. You can lift them up. And then taking your hand out from under you again, and maybe moving a little bit, or just resting at your arm. Be still. Now we might start to lift our legs up and into the air. You can use your pillow, place it underneath your hip. You could use your strap to hook onto the feet. Combination of both or neither. You got a wall beside you, a couch beside you. Lift your feet up. Whether your knees are bent, the legs are straight. The one thing I will say about if you're using a strap on the feet, I always say to put it right by the toes so that the
that the feet are flexed and you're stretching your legs, but try to move your strap closer to your heels this time so that our feet can relax a little bit more. So the toes might point up a little higher than the heels. Nice soft bend through the knees. Just trying to get lighter through the legs, the feet, the toes. If you have your legs kind of straighter right now, and start to bend your knees again. They might end up coming towards your chest. You can use or lose the strap at any time. And you can also take your pillow out from underneath your hips too. And maybe giving the knees a hug and taking a rock or a sway side to side. And letting the feet find the ground again if you did lift them up. We'll keep our hands out wide, not under us. And then let your knees tip back over to the left. If you do want to grab your pillow again, feel free. But let's twist more than before. Your knees might stack on top of one another, or you might cross your legs. Maybe wrap your top leg over your bottom leg. Stay for another breath. And you can lift your legs back up, maybe having to uncross them first. Come back, lay flat, and maybe give your knees a little bit of a sway. Massage your low back. Then our knees will be tipping to the right side, maybe moving the pillow over there again. Maybe stacking the legs. maybe crossing the legs. Left over top of the right. Reaching the arms out a little bit wider. And then breathing. Staying for another breath. And lifting the legs back up. Planting your feet or hugging your knees to your chest. And maybe massaging the low back against the ground. And then eventually sending your leg out long. If you wanted to use your pillow in any way you can. Press your arms somewhere comfy as well. Feel your body against the ground. Find some stillness. Just feel your breath. You can slowly start to move. Maybe breathe a little bit deeper. You might be reaching your arms above your head. Bend your knees and then roll over. Finding your way up and into a comfy seat when you're ready. Bring your hands together. Awesome practice, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a really nice weekend, and we will see you guys very soon. Namaste.